as you can see, the problem.
All right, dump truck 101. First thing you check when you get to the job is any overhead obstacles. Here we have a phone line, which is usually the line on the bottom, and we have the power supply line, which is usually the line on top. It's usually a thicker cable. You do not want to touch that. Most of the time it's in a casing, but don't take the chance. What we can do here, since these lines are running in the direction that we're going to be tailgating material out, I can back up under this line and raise my bed up and let the headache rack, which is that part of a dump bed that's over the cab, raise that line up, and I'll be able to skim along it. And you've got to make sure that you don't have any like nicks or sharp edges on your headache rack that could hang that line. Once we raise it up as high as we need to, we can just pull straight out and turn to tailgate this material one way or the other. And you'll notice that I'll start dropping my bed before I actually get to where the road turns down, because it has to drop quite a bit before the gravel stops coming out. We'll back up, move over a little bit, and tailgate another section. We're not gonna put it down real thick, but it'll be a nice pretty coat. Now I'm sure you guys heard the gravel start rattling and shifting. That tells us that the bed is raised up high enough for material to start sliding out of here. When you're first learning to tailgate gravel, just go ahead and pull your chains as tight as you can, and then, see, that wouldn't let it open much at all. Go one link. One link is all you need to let that tailgate come open. Now this is for washed stone. Road Bond, ABC, Crusher Run won't hardly come out of there with it open just a little bit, but when you're first learning, get some 3/4 wash spreading under your belt. It's super easy. It's just like pouring water out of the bed. The good thing about leaving things tight is you don't have to get a rolling start before you pop that tailgate open. If you're spreading like I do, as much as counting off 12 links, so really about 3 to 4 more links than where we are at right now. When it's like that, as soon as that tailgate comes open, you're going to have a spread about that wide come open. So you've got to be moving. When you're trying to tailgate away from a building, even I use the smallest link. Now this being a manual drive truck, you can walk about as fast as it will go in first gear. So I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna put it in first gear. I'm gonna pop the tailgate. I'm not gonna feel rushed. I'm not gonna be in a hurry. I'm gonna pop the tailgate open and just ease off on the clutch and just let the truck do the work. It's that easy. There you go. Yet again, you guys can see. Actually, I'm gonna just take y'all. See how it's just kind of trickling out of there? That's about how much open that tailgate is. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna kick this little pile down, and eventually it'll just stop pouring out on its own unless we raise this bed back up. So I'm gonna move this so I don't have a little hump of gravel that's gonna make my spread just horrible. All right, let's spread this side, see how it does. This right here is the prime reason why I brought our handy dandy shovel. Do not stick your fingers in it. See how quick that moved? Show you what it looks like when we open 2 links. We're already at 1 link open. Let's go to 2 on both sides. The only thing we're changing is the number of links. We're now 2 open from being completely closed. I'm still going to only do first gear and an idle speed. Now our bed is actually raised up about that far above the power line. So for the beginner, I recommend just tailgating straight ahead, because it's hard to tell in your mirrors once you get going along when you need to drop the bed, and once it's low enough, when can you turn. So just go straight and stop, check it out, see how it went, and learn from it. Now the question here is, how are we going to get this all tied in? I am going to go ahead and reset to 1 link and double down on the original side that we did, just because I want to take it a little bit thicker, and then we'll regroup and see how we're going to tie all this in. All right, my friends, we've gotten the parking area tailgated, but now we're in a little bit different situation. We're not going to have the overhead obstacle, but let me just say that I highly recommend, if you're in mountainous terrain, most roads are not perfectly level side to side, and most of the time you're either going uphill or downhill. That being said, right here, since the power lines are kind of where we have to stop, we can't spread going forward facing uphill as easily, because we could tear those lines down. On camera, I know it's hard to tell, but this road right here, number one, when you make a turn and you've got a bed up there, especially if it's a full bed, that's a lot of weight tilting side to side. The one thing going for you is you have even distribution. You have even weight at the back of the dump bed, which means that's holding your center of gravity low. Any weight up high, that's what makes you wobble or potentially turn over. Right here we have a turn and it goes downhill also. So when your truck pivots forward, it's almost like a football player in a 3-point stance. You've got 2 points of contact at the back of the bed, but you have 1 single lift cylinder toward the front. So it's very important that before you start spreading, you've got your bed up a little bit higher than normal, because when you're pitching forward, it's got to go on up to get the material to come out. Not only does the material have to be able to come out, it has to be back toward the back of the bed, because it becomes very unstable. If it's really steep going downhill, it's very easy for that weight to get off to one side and want to pitch you. Also, most of the grip in your truck, when a dump truck is going downhill, especially when it's empty, it'll start doing what we call ball hooping, and that's where the rear end is wanting to go faster than the front. I know it doesn't really make sense, but the first time you experience it, you'll know. Especially if it's loose ground or wet concrete, it'll start hopping, and it can start hopping and fishtailing side to side. That's one thing that makes this very dangerous, and even more important, that you keep the weight toward the back of your truck. Once you start your spread and you know you're starting to empty the bed out, keep raising the bed up. And that way, you keep your center of gravity as low as possible. Now, as you do this and you do things that you know you're comfortable doing, your skill level will go up, and you will get to where you do things that you used to not be comfortable doing. Just if you ever feel like, I shouldn't do this, don't do it. Figure another way out. So, at my skill level and my experience, which is several years, I'm going to leave this in 2 lengths, and I'm going to put it first gear, and I'm going to idle. I'm going to be very careful to make this turn as wide as I can, because if I go up on this, it's going to pitch my weight, and that's not something you want. You want to keep it as level as possible, and I'm just going to idle. I'm not going to stop. As I idle down through there, once I hear the gravel stop and my bed's all the way up, I'm going to drop the bed. I'm not going to try to stop with that bed up in the air. I'm going to just keep idling down the road. That, my friends, is how you tailgate gravel, going uphill and downhill. I hope you guys enjoyed this little addition to our excavation and grading series. I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel and dinging the bell. I know some videos are better than others for you, but the only way I know what you need to see and what's going to help you is if you drop it in the comments. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Y'all have a great day.